Alright, so it is August 6th of 2026. Yesterday would have been Shimei's birthday, August 5th. But anyway. Alright, so I'm expecting a phone call, so phone might ring. So in the meantime, does cerebral palsy affect the bones? Understanding skeletal impacts. Yes. Oh my lord. Okay. Cerebral palsy significantly, right, affects bone health. The chronic muscle imbalances and limited mobility associated with cerebral palsy often lead to decreased bone density, increased fracture risk, and skeletal deformities. Okay. Before we get too far into this, I know when Tisha was little, her weight, whether it was related to bone density or just the way the body was put together, was heavier than Shimei's. Shimei was light as a feather at 2 years old, where Tisha was heavy as a rock, and I couldn't pick her up because she was so heavy and hold her for any length of time. Where Shimei, I could carry on my hip all day long. So is that related to bones or the body in general? I don't know. I just know that everybody is different. All right. For whatever reason. And there's probably different reasons. Okay. So, all right, let's just carry on. So that's been established. Introduction. Cerebral palsy and skeletal health. A complex relationship. Cerebral palsy is a group of disorders affecting movement and muscle tone caused by damage to the developing brain. Amari's brain was already developed. It was damaged at the time of his birth, people. Okay? Most often before birth. This is what they say in this article. But in Amari's case, it was at the time of his birth. All right. What CP is primarily, while cerebral palsy is primarily a neurological condition, its impact extends far beyond the brain, profoundly affecting the muscular skeletal system. This article will delve into the question, does cerebral palsy affect the bones? We will explore. I don't know how to get rid of this crap. No, I don't. We will explore the intricate relationship between CP, muscle function, and bone health, examining the various ways in which the condition can impact skeleton development and integrity. Well, we know Amari on the right side has a lot of this very weak, very skinny, no muscles, just, yeah. Understanding the link, muscle imbalance, and bone development. Bone grow and remodel in response to the forces exerted upon them. This is known as Wolff's Law. Muscle contractions are a crucial source of these forces. In individuals with cerebral palsy, spasticity, increased muscle tone, weakness, and involuntary movements, right? Okay? Disrupt the normal balance of forces acting on the bones. This imbalance can lead to reduced bone density. Okay. Reduced bone density, because Amari can't walk and, he's limited to certain things, right? Decreased weight bearing and muscle activity contribute to lower bone mineral density. Bone mineral density, BMD, increasing the risk of osteopenia and osteoporosis. Skeleton deformities, which he kind of has, right? Because his legs are always crossing over, plus his right side is always pulling on his leg. Hey, go like this, eh? Hold on. Okay, continuing to read. Reduced bone density, decreased weight bearing, and muscle activity contributes to lower bone mineral density, right? BMB, increasing risk. Okay, we read that. Skeletal deformities, abnormal muscle pull can cause bones to grow atypical shapes, resulting in deformities such as scoliosis, curvature of the spine, hip dislocations, right? Or subluxations and foot deformities. This is Mari's foot, like this, right? Okay. Because he's got a lot of that, right? All the time pulling. But he likes to move around, so. Increase fracture risk. Well, again, the only time Amari ever got a fracture, which really wasn't a broken bone, but it was a fracture, was on his tibia, and that was because of the ankle bracelets. Him swinging his leg over and hitting his tibia with the back of the ankle bracelets, which is a hard plastic, and that's what fractured his tibia. Lower bone density and increased risk of falls predispose individuals with CP to fractures. Okay. Where's that mouse? Specific bone-related issues associated with cerebral palsy. The skeletal manifestations of CP vary depending on the severity of the condition, the affected limbs, and the individual's age. Common issues include hip dysplasia. Well, we already know that, right? And because Amari's the severe on the severe of the severe spectrum of CP, he's got all those issues, which is not my fault. Okay? Abnormal development of the hip joint, which his has been coming out and could very well pop out, and he wouldn't be the first kid to have that happen to. That's why there was that hip surveillance program that was under a global study in comparison to other procedures that doctors around the world that were using within those countries that were doing such and such procedure to cross-reference between the different countries, I guess, to see which was the better quote-unquote procedure per se. And being that Canada is a fairly rich country where, you know, these programs are funded by the taxpayer, basically through government portfolios that are being passed into hospitals to prop up these global studies, because, you know, it doesn't cost the parents anything outside of maybe being muscled into the global study, you know, and having to do the surgery because of gaslighting. Not that it's necessarily the right thing to do, despite all the risks associated around it. As the doctor is saying, the risks are low, but again, when you add up the 30% could, you know, have to go in and reoperate within the first week because something didn't work, or 30% that, you know, after it's all said and done, he gets an infection within that 8 months of being in a cast with his legs spread open. 30% that after you take off the cast, assuming doesn't get an infection within an 8-month period, right? Within, you know, a small amount of time, the metal bar kicks out. Hold on a minute. Okay. Right, the skeletal okay, so the specific bone-related issues associated with cerebral palsy, the skeletal manifestations of CP vary depending on the severity. Amari is the most severe of the condition, the affected limbs, right, and the individual's age. Okay. Common issues include, yeah, okay, hip dysplasia, abnormal development of the hip, because not walking, hip joint, which can lead to subluxation, which will more than likely occur for Amari, right? A partial dislocation or complete dislocation. That's where that doctor, a hip doctor, well, if that happens, then I just come in and cut the bone and throw the bone in the garbage, right? That's basically what he said. Okay, and for some kids that happens, I guess, because they're around. And they manage. Some of them develop scoliosis because of it, right? But they can also develop scoliosis without having that done to them. So, right? Scoliosis, curvature of the spine, right? Often develops during adolescence due to muscle imbalances. Right, Amari? I always said it's always looked like his back was broke. It always looked like his back was broken. When this all started coming to a head, it's like, to me, I just felt like his back was broken. But of course, nobody would admit to that any more than they would admit that he was injured at the time of his birth. Right? Or never mind, tell me that the MRI was saying that it was at the time or right after birth his injury occurred. Foot and ankle deformities. That's what Amari has. Okay? Especially with the right leg, because of the muscle pulling all the time on his whole right side. As well as, I don't know, he doesn't even really have muscles. I've said it in the past, it's almost like that whole right side of his body, right arm, right leg, all of it, it's almost like it's dead, right? Like it has no purpose other than to just be there, right? He tries to use his right hand sometimes, but, you know. And of course we have to, you know, I have to stretch him out and stuff, and his little joints pop in the elbow, and yeah. Cerebral palsy is not fun. Foot and ankle deformities include inquisness, toe walking. Well, he can't walk, so his just goes like that, right? Where the left foot, not so much the curl as just like that. On the right, it curls more. On the left, it just kind of yeah. Because he's always swinging. He always likes, that's how he moves, right? Is with his left. Or he'll push with his left a lot, right? To move. So he has more muscle mass on his left leg and his left arm, right? Varus, inward, yeah, goes inward, turning, and varus, outward turning, deformities which can affect mobility and balance. Well, Amari can't stand, can't walk, but whatever he does, however he does it, it doesn't affect him. He makes it where he can just get to where he wants to go. So for him, the deformity works. I suppose that's how I see it, because nothing stops him, right? In terms of, if he wants to go, he's going to find a way to get to the next location. Yeah. And he positions his body where he's comfortable. Okay. Osteoporosis, all right? Reduced bone density, making bones more fragile and susceptible to fractures. Long-term immobility, like walking and a lot of running and squatting and lifting things and exercising and bend, you know, yeah. And medications such as anti-seizure drugs can contribute to osteoporosis. You know, I was wondering about that, people. I was wondering about that. You've seen it for yourself. Anti-seizure drugs can contribute to osteoporosis. When Amari started getting his seizures, you know, through the Cerebral Memorial Hospital, they prescribed the medication that he's on right now for seizures, with that doctor saying that it was basically a newer seizure medication on the market where children were handling it pretty good in terms of side effects, right? And of course, Amari started losing weight, was getting skinny, but by that time we were on the regime with that seizure medication. And I have brought this up to the feeding team. I've brought it up to the freaking pediatrician, probably at the hip doctor, because he started losing weight, right? I mean, weight has always been an issue, in part because I think he takes after Shimei a bit. I'll put this on me for a minute because that just makes me so freaking mad. Like, you don't even know. Like, you don't even know, people. Because it's like that needle in a haystack, you know, when I see stuff like that. Because, you know, he used to be a little more plump and stuff, eh? And then he started getting seizures and stuff, right? But he was always a little underweight. But then, you know, Shimei was a very lightweight in density, her body density. I don't know about the bone density. I just know that Shimei she looked chubby, right? You know, she looked a little chubby and stuff. But when you pick her up, she was light as a feather. Where Tisha was solid as a rock, right? Because her dad's side, different DNA, different genetics, right? Different family line, different, you know, herited attributes. And she's solid as a rock, heavy like a rock. Couldn't pick her up, 2 years old. It was so hard to pick her up. Where Shimei, I could have Shimei on my hip when she was 4 years old, and she was a chubby little kid, right? You know what I mean? So, you know, I always figured there was a little bit of Shimei in Amari, being a Shimei was the mom, right? You know, to Amari. Okay. Also, too, you know, there's short people on my side of the family, Shimei's side of the family, mom and dad, as well as there's short people on Julian's side of the family, with his sister being one of them. Okay? And the mom, too. They're kind of short, right? So that, you know, right? But as soon as he started taking that seizure medication, because, you're right, I had no choice. They prescribed it, reassured me that it was a newer medication, and, you know, it came in with good reviews, not too many side effects that they, you know, anything to be concerned about, and da-da-da-da, and, you know, and of course now we're on the regime of this seizure medication, which is extremely expensive. It's really expensive, people. And it actually comes from the cancer clinic. Huh, yeah, why? Why is the seizure medication coming from a cancer clinic? Yeah, because I always have problems every year renewing it through getting it covered because it has to go through special approval, right? All right, so anyway, he gets on this seizure medication, and then, of course, you know, he's losing weight. And I, you know, at one point in the past, probably mentioned it in my videos. I'm sure I have. Do you think it's the seizure medication? Do you think it's, you know, asking this doctor, asking that doctor, asking this doctor, right? You know, and no. Here, right there, it says that anti-seizure medications, like to stop seizures, medications to stop seizures, can actually cause problems with bones, which affects the weight and everything else. But nobody will consider it, because I've already asked. There's no point in asking. I don't want to print this out. Highlight it. Go see that doctor. Have you ever stopped to think about that? I did years ago. Because I'm the one that gets the finger pointed. Well, why is he so skinny? Well, I don't know. Maybe because it has something to do with the cerebral palsy. I talk to the paramedics. They say, oh, don't worry. We see lots of kids like Kamari. They're all freaking skinny, right? Yada-da-yada. But, you know, some of them don't eat nothing. All they want is milk and muffins. That's it. That's all the parents can get them to eat. And they're as skinny as Amari. But yet, Amari is unique. When, you know, people that want something, when they want to prescribe their drinks, they want to do their tests, or they want to, I don't know what the hell they want, prescribe this and prescribe. Those are the ones that ignore me and want to say that for whatever reason, Amari is the way he is because of something that I've done wrong. That's the impression. That's the subliminal messaging that they throw at you, right? So that they can gaslight you into taking their products or doing what they want to do with no consequences, no questions asked, right? Like that hurts my feelings to read that, because I have because he started losing a lot of weight. He was like chubby, not chubby, but you know, he had that baby, he was born with baby fat because he was fully developed. The brain injury happened at the time of his birth, but as the cerebral palsy was kicking in, it took a while for shit to come to develop. Hold on a minute. Okay, so now I'm on a different page. Osteoporosis and osteopenia treatment options. Okay. All right. Bone is living, growing tissue. Throughout life, our bodies are breaking down old bone and rebuilding new bone in a continuous cycle. Bones progressively increase in density until a maximum level is reached. Hold on. Okay, bone is living, growing tissue throughout life. Our bodies are breaking down old bone and rebuilding new bone in a continuous cycle. Bones progressively increase in density until a maximum level is reached, usually around age 30. Okay. Now, Amari didn't really start losing weight and getting skinny until after he started that seizure medication. And whenever I brought it up to any professional, regardless, yada, everybody said no, it had nothing to do with the seizure medication. Okay. We gain bone by building more than we need, or more than we lose. After about age 35, this balance is typically reversed, with bone loss occurring at a slightly faster rate than it can be replaced, which causes bones to slowly decrease in density and to become more brittle. Okay. Bones contain minerals such as calcium. Okay. Amari's calcium levels were good. All his minerals, everything were good. Okay. And phosphorus, which makes them hard and dense. To maintain bone density, the body requires an adequate supply of calcium. Okay, so he's been getting that, along with proper amounts of several hormones. Okay, Andre, can you just turn that down for a minute, please? Okay, they've done all kinds of tests on him, people, to see if he has hormonal problems, chromosome problems, all those kind of problems. And all those tests come out fine. So, you know, and I when I went to go see the neurologist, you know, of course, talking about this test with the bones and everything was at the top of my list, right? And I asked this doctor specifically, with certain parts of the brain being damaged, right? You know, did it cut off the hardwiring of certain hormones being sent to the body throughout the body, because that's what the brain does. So he brought up the hippocampus. He brought that up, right? Okay, that's the one I think that sends all the hormones out. So like when you die, right, your brain is dead, the hippocampus isn't working anymore, right? And that's why your organs and everything shut down. And everything just shuts down because they're not receiving the hormones to continue working, right? And they go into decomposition mode, right? They start to putrefy, right? Because they're not receiving the hormones. Okay, so when people are like on life support and those kind of things, right? Their brain isn't working properly. Doctors can prescribe certain medications to fill in the blanks where the hormones aren't being pushed out from the hippocampus because of what I think it's called the hippocampus. It starts with an H. It might be a different name for it. I need to read up on this shit. Anyway, he tried to say no, that part of the brain of Amari was working, and that whatever is going on with him with this being skinny crap isn't hormone related per se, as being deprived because of a certain part of the brain that regulates those hormones. Right? That's what he said. Okay. I need to take notes. Anyway, bone contain minerals, okay, such as we read that. Okay, the body requires an adequate supply of calcium along with proper amounts of several hormones, such as whatever that is, hormone growth, hormone, there's that, estrogen in women, and testosterone in men. After menopause and the loss of estrogen, bones' inner mesh becomes increasingly thinner, weaker, and more brittle. Okay, because the parts of your brain that regulate your eggs, I guess, and all that crap shut down, which shuts down other parts, like the estrogen, because you don't need the eggs anymore. But that's all done through the brain, right? That's the physiological part of just being a woman, right? That's not a damaged part, you know what I mean? Like, right? You know, like a brain injury. That's not a result of a brain injury. That's just how the body is designed to operate. Proper amount. Okay. I just rubbed my eye. No. Okay, we read that. And more okay. Estrogen, bones, inner mesh, okay. Thinner, weaker, and more brittle. But it is only when bone loss is excessive, as can be measured by a bone density scan. Okay, that's the whole point of this video, because I'm trying to understand it, because clearly the doctor doesn't want to take the time to really explain it to me outside of whatever. For example, that Because if I said, well, do you think it'd be his seizure medication that's making him like this? The first thing you'd be say is no, even though we already read that seizure medications can create this problem when it comes to poor bone density. So, you know, what is that called? Beating your head up against a wall, right? You know what I mean? Like, right? Okay. Beating a dead horse, right? You know, right? Because if it's the seizure medication that started the process and keeps him where he's at, and they don't want to acknowledge that, people, because I noticed it I noticed the deterioration after he started this seizure medication. And every time they were pointing the fingers at me, oh, you're not doing this, you, something you're doing, you, right? Well, you give him more drinks and give him this and give him you. I'm like, well, hold on a minute. Like, maybe it's his seizure medication, or maybe it's his brain not sending out the proper hormones or whatever, right? No, it's not the seizure medication. No, it's not the, whatever. Yeah, okay. That's still up for debate. Because, you know, right? Where's the accountability with the seizure medication if that's what it creates is weak bone density, weak bones, right? And there is a possibility, because whatever they prescribed, whatever that doctor said, I've had other doctors say, oh no, it's been on the market for a long time and it's well and tested and true, it's a really good medication and blah, 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 blah. But even as Amari is aging and the doctor, the neurologist, right, increased the seizure medication, yada, 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 because, you know, whatever, he can only go to a certain level with it. What I think maximum is 7 or 8 milligrams, or milliliters, or what, milliliters, a little, you know, less than a teaspoon and a half, right? After that, he's going to have to change the medication to a different seizure medication. And this medication costs like $450 a bottle. And it's good for a month, that's it. And I have to jump through hoops to get it approved. In terms of, it has to be approved by us, you know, through the higher ups within the pharmacare system. Okay? So, and apparently it comes from the cancer clinic, because one year they were denying approval, and the cancer clinic called me up and yada yada yada, because I'm trying to get this thing approved, this medication. And I'm like, who are you? Well, we're from the cancer clinic, you know, we're the ones that supply this product and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm like, why? Why is it coming from the cancer clinic? Like, how does that make sense? It's a seizure medication. Regardless. Okay. After menopause. Okay. Means measured by a bone density scan. For example, that a person would be diagnosed with osteoporosis. Okay. The most common problem associated with osteoporosis is bone fractures. The bones of the wrist, spine, and hip are the most likely to break. Hip fractures are the most serious, as they can lead to longer-term hospitalization, permanent disability, and loss of independence. Unfortunately, after one osteoporotic fracture, others are more likely to follow. Besides that, fractures tend to heal slowly in those who suffer with osteoporosis. I'm the perfect candidate for that. Okay. Comparison to osteoporosis and osteopenia treatment. Calcium is the building block of bones. Now I'm on a calcium hunt. This is where you have to be careful with spinach. Spinach is high in many, many nutrients. It has a fair amount of calcium in it, but there's also other nutrients in it that kick out the calcium. So you're eating spinach thinking you're getting all this calcium when in fact you're not. Because the other components, the other minerals or whatever, there's certain ones in there that will prevent your body from absorbing that calcium. That's why you eat kale. That's why you should eat Swiss chard. That's why you should eat bok choy and those kind of leaves, because they have a higher concentration, some more than others, of calcium without the interference of those other elements that can prevent your body from absorbing them, like from absorbing the calcium, like spinach. Okay, that much we know. Calcium is the building block of bones. In the past, now keep in mind, Amari's calcium levels were coming up good, okay, but not the vitamin D, for whatever reason. In part, I suppose, because we don't go outside enough with him, okay? But he gets vitamin D in food, so why he had, you know, and I stopped the vitamin D drops. So we're back with the vitamin D drops. Even though he's getting vitamin D in food, he's getting it in his yogurts, he's getting it in his milk, you know, he gets it in certain foods, right? You know, there's certain foods that also have vitamin D. But okay, so just thinking out loud here. All right? So anyway, we know his calcium is good. Calcium is the building block. So where's the problem? If the calcium in Amari's blood and his body is good, right? Calcium is the building block of bones. In the past, people have long relied on inorganic calcium sources like calcium carbonate, which I don't give them those things, rocks, algae, coral, oyster shells, etc., and supplements. Their calcium absorption rates are usually too low to be of any use, and they can promote the formation of kidney stones or stones in other organs. Okay, let me just read that. So where does that come from? Traditional calcium supplements. Rocks. Well, I don't feed Amari rocks. I don't give him algae. I will use sea vegetables from time to time in terms of that little shaker salt thing. I don't feed him coral. And I don't give him oyster shells. Okay? Or eggshells or anything like that. Alright. He gets a lot of milk, yogurts, whipping cream is a big one, cottage cheese, but the main ones are milk, whipping cream, and yogurt. Those are the main three. Okay? In terms of, like calcium. Not including what he gets from other foods, right? Okay. Resulting from a recent technological breakthrough, I don't know what that is, Easy Orb Calcium has set a new record with its 92% calcium absorption rate with no side effects. Okay, I don't know what I'm reading here. I'm just Googling things. Physicians typically recommend prescription medications for osteoporosis treatment. Those drugs are all notorious for countless side effects. They are designed to increase bone density. See, this is where I have to be careful. I'm going down the rabbit hole. Hold on a minute. Okay. Resulting from recent technologies, breakthroughs. All right. Physicians typically recommend prescription medications for osteoporosis treatment. Those drugs are all notorious for countless side effects. They are designed to increase. This is where, you see, I need to do my research on this, people. To increase, this doctor wants to do the bone density scan, okay? I read up a little bit on that, okay? So I'm trying to do my part here. I feel like I have to print out a whole bunch of shit and highlight a whole bunch of shit, so that next time I go to that department, I got a folder full of shit, so I can go through the, flip from page to page to page to page to page, just to touch base on all that stuff, right? To make a really informed decision where I'm not going to be bamboozled, where Mari pays the consequences to either the healthcare aspect of it being negligent, by being overzealous and just assuming and presuming and taking advantage of the taxpayers to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, for a result that may never come to fruition, or could actually harm Amari, or me going in ignorant and just going with the old okie dokie and not questioning anything because they're quote-unquote doctors, right? And we already know what doctors are capable of doing in the province of British Columbia, Canada, because the government protects nefarious and malicious acts within the healthcare system in general. So I have every right to feel what I feel and be concerned about what's being presented to me as business as usual when it comes to procedures. All right. So bone density. Okay. The drugs, all right, are countless side effects. They are designed to increase bone density by retaining dead bone mass. Okay, I know I'm not really holding it on here, right? This guy wants to do the test because Amari's the perfect candidate to be the governor to this program. Because if you look up the word candidate, it will tell you it means, like, if somebody wants to run for governor, he becomes the perfect candidate for that. So that's why Amari's being appointed to be a governor here. And then if this doctor decides, assuming that the results are read correctly, because I was reading on a different page that they do these tests, but they don't necessarily read them correctly. Okay? So assuming that this doctor reads them correctly, then he wants to put something in Amari's bone, like a IV, and then put him on a drip, that whatever he's dripping into Amari's bones go through the IV directly into the bone. And that's how he's going to solve whatever problem he thinks Amari has. All right. Well, for all we know, it could be these medications. We don't know. They don't tell you. They just expect you to do what they say because the hospital gets paid for it. And that's what they get paid to do. All right. In the meantime, all right. They kill osteoporosis, the cells that are responsible for natural bone resorption. Treated with those drugs, limited space within the bones is taken up by dead or nearly dead bone mass, preventing new bone mass from being created. As a result, bones become more fragile and more vulnerable to fracture. Okay? How do we know that what they're trying to infuse into Amari's bones after they determine that he needs that, isn't going to cause that. And then time goes by, things are happening, and I'm saying ever since he had that test and they've been giving him these bone infusions, he's been deteriorating with this, and this, no matter what I feed him. And they'll be like, oh, no, it's not the seizure medication, and it's not the infusions into the leg, into the bones. It's none of that stuff. It's something that you're doing wrong, Miss Chorney. Give him more Pediasures. But while you're doing that, pump him up with a whole bunch of fucking laxatives so that you don't explode his gut. Because it's all your fault. Yeah, right. In terms of it bunking up and turning into like a big ball of gum. Literally. Oh! All right. That is a very valid question to take up with that doctor before he starts doing what he just wants to do without having to explain himself thoroughly. Because he can't be bothered. It won't be a surprise to see modest increase in density from bone scans periodically on those treated with these drugs. So in other words, they do whatever they want to do. It shows that the bone density improved a bit. Don't be surprised. That's where they fool you. Who often have to be treated against the associated side effects as well. That's what I'm worried about. Okay? Right? Amari was dubbed to live on average, based on the severity of his cerebral palsy, to age 45. That's not very long. If he's lucky, with really good care, he might be able to live into his 70s. But it's got to be really good care. Otherwise, he's out at around age 45. That doesn't give anybody the right to use him as a freaking pincushion. And a freaking money in the bank. I don't care if it's in the doctor's pocket or if it's for a freaking facility in terms of a hospital. Okay? Or a superannuation life insurance policy. You know what I'm saying? Or a pension plan for some government worker. Because all these government workers that are in the hospital are exactly that. Government workers. With their pension plans, their disability pension plans, their medical plans, their dental plans, their superannuation life insurance freaking plans, their buyout plans, severance plans, their retirement plans. Not including what they're pulling in under the gurney in a freaking suitcase through the black market when they're harvesting organs and all that shit illegally. You know how they say ignorance is bliss? It is so true. It is so true. It would be better to not know what these people are capable of doing in any kind of capacity when it comes to injuring vulnerable people. I don't care if they're old people, young people, children, babies, doesn't matter. You know, and they're injuring, and they're doing morbid shit in these hospitals these days, and they get away with it because our governments are corrupt, and they prop it up, and they allow these guys to do what the hell they want without ever being held to account. Because if you take them to court for medical negligence, malfeasance, malpractice, you're up against a $9 billion freaking slush fund that will fight against you to make a wrong right. Yeah. And then include the medical insurance, malpractice medical insurance, private medical malpractice insurance of these doctors. That's just a whole new set of doctors coming in with a whole new freaking slush fund to silence you, to cover up what happened to you or your loved ones. That's a whole different video. Okay, I'm getting mad, and I haven't even gotten there yet. Okay, it won't be a surprise. And we read that correctly, okay? We got critical thinking skills. We got comprehension skills, okay? We understand what that said, right? It won't be a surprise to see modest increase in density. Oh, well, it was successful, Miss Chorney. His bone density went up. But from bone scans performed on those treated with these drugs, who often have to be treated against the associated side effects. Well, does that mean we have to go see a whole brand new freaking doctor? And I'm like, well, maybe you should stop those, whatever you've been doing to him, because ever since you've been doing it to him, he's been deteriorating, because I'm with him every day and I know what he goes through. But no, they won't listen. Hell no. As well. Of course, all the useless dead bone mass is counted towards bone density numbers. Okay, so you just turning him into a little mummified freaking non-walking, sorry, he can't walk, but kind of like a little mummy with a whole bunch of dead bone density and his bones, right? That's what they're measuring, because the bones aren't replacing themselves, right? They're not regrowing, which promotes a false sense of security, preventing patients from seeking alternative treatments until it's too late. Denser bones are not necessarily better bones. I have to put this article onto that computer and print it out. And when the social workers come and say, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, I'll be like, yeah, but you do realize what we're talking about here. It requires a little more research. It requires a little more honesty. It requires better decision making. And there should be alternative choices as to what are the alternatives. Versus, it's a do or die. Because the way it's sounding here, it's like a die situation, but you're forced to do it. Because if Amari dies, well, he's just up for grabs with the organ harvesting. That's it. Whether it's illegal or illegal, it wouldn't matter. Because it's going to happen. Because they got their own operating team at the Children's Hospital designed specifically for that purpose. The province of British Columbia, Canada, I think it was the NDP that brought in that. They put in over $1 million into just bringing in an operating team to operate on dead kids, or half dead, who knows, right? Take out their organs and put them into other children's organs, whether those parents can pay for it or not. If they're going to take it from people like Shimei under the table with the dead body on the fucking bed for 9 days, what do you think they're going to do with the kids? You think they're not going to, you think they're going to be any more ethical? No. On the other hand, having enough calcium supply is not the end of the story. Clearly, Amari has enough calcium, but it's not enough. Calcium doesn't become bones automatically. It has to be assimilated. Easy orb increases bone density by stimulating whatever that is, bone formation cells. Well, I think that's what that infusion is supposed to do. It's supposed to stimulate something. But is it this product or is it their product? Activities. And by promoting collagen production. Okay. Is this article being biased because they're trying to sell a product? I don't know about that. As a result, new cells are created to replace the old ones. Okay? So, if I go along with what this doctor wants, it's based on that. To make it so that the new cells continue to be replaced versus keeping the dead cells so that when you measure them, you can say that you were successful because, he's got a whole bunch of dead bones inside of him that puts on weight or shows bone density, but really there's, issues around that. Like, you got to be aware of these things, people. Where's the second opinion? Yeah, okay. Right? And the increased supply of collagen makes bones stronger and more flexible. Thousands of people with osteoporosis have reported significant bone density increase after taking Easy Orb 6 months to a year. Well, it doesn't tell us what it is. The chart below shows the average bone density increase 3 months after starting Easy Orb. Okay, well, whatever that is, can't really see. And then there's just, where is it going now? Okay, so, bone density below normal, natural. So you need to look up that product if you have problems with your bones. Alright, and then we've got top 5 bone density supplements. Okay, why can't they just give them a supplement if that's the case? Versus having to do an infusion. I'm just saying, like, there should be alternatives. Bone mineral density testing, Osteopost Canada. Okay, these tests are safe, painless, and accurate measurements of density of your bones. Bone mineral density test can tell you whether or not you have osteoporosis. Okay. Bone mineral density test. What the numbers mean. Okay. Bone mineral density test. Purpose. Okay, let me just see here. There was something else I was looking up on. Bone mineral density, Children's Hospital, Cerebral Palsy. Yeah, okay, we know. All right. Okay. I want to know just more about that in general. What did I... Bone mineral density. Bone mineral density. Bone density. Bone density, or bone mineral density, BMD, is the amount of bone mineral in bone tissue measured as mass of mineral per volume of bone. All right, I'm going to end this video because I don't know how long, or maybe I don't know. I got to go grind up that pork with that collagen. Well, I made the really thick juice with it, right? So it's got a lot of collagen in it. So maybe I'll finish the video on that because I got it because I went for an eye appointment yesterday just to do a follow-up. So maybe I'll just show you. Oh, and yeah, Andre and I, we went shopping. He scored. He got some stuff. He's a pretty happy little kid right now. He got some T-shirts. He got a book.
Right now.
Huh? Well, besides the bike thing, is something on his bike broke. He's mad. But he got a new bike pump. He got a little light and what else? A little light and what?
Rear headlight.
A what?
A headlight and a rear headlight.
He got a headlight and a rear headlight. He got a pump for his air tires, and he got some T-shirts. He got a new backpack. He got some boots. What else did you get? Bunch of food.
Yeah. Monster.
Huh?
My energy drinks.
Oh yeah, he got his little energy drinks. He had to bug me for that one. And I bought a new blender.
Oh yeah, I need to get that to work.
Huh?
I need to get that to work, and also we buy a new mattress.
Yeah, well, we're working on that. But yeah, I spent $100 for this Hamilton Beach new blender. It's in the box, so we'll look at it. I have to wash everything. I think it's got a little food processor in it, and it's got 3 different components anyway. And I mean, because I'm going to use. I'm afraid to use this other freaking blender. I might be just putting it on the road pretty soon. Because, you know, I'm going to try and use it because it's there right now. And my old school blender, I didn't bring out another. I mean, I could go get another one from the playroom, the other old school blender, and just cut to the chase and use that one versus trying to attempt to use this one, because every time I use this one, within 5 minutes, it's starting to smell. And I think it smokes too, doesn't it? When when I'm using that blender, does it smoke that one? It does, eh? Yeah, like what's the point, right? But I haven't washed the new one, but we'll look at it in the box, right? And like, you know, like seriously, people, I take what I'm trying, like, you know, right? If I could do this 24 hours a day, every day, all day, year after year after year after year, in terms of being, you know, superhuman with the computing skills, in terms of how, you know, freaking AI can think faster than the brain, and you know, and put things.
Phone call, okay?
Well, just wait. I don't want to. Just stay with him. You wait until I'm done.
Make the phone call in the living room.
Okay. Well, I'm almost done this video, and then I'm going to start this crap. Okay, and I'll show you, right? Because you know, it mentioned collagen, right? So you know, and just like. I gotta see what is Easy Orb all about. How about we look and see what that is? Okay. What was it that we were just reading? What's so special about it? Okay, and that's, you know, like I wanna print that article out and ask this doctor, is that what you're doing? Just keeping the dead bone so that it's like magic, like a trick, you know, to fool the caregivers and the parents to think that the test or whatever you're doing is working, when in fact you're just masking over the problem, as well as creating other problems that just opens up more visits to more doctors for more procedures, for more payments to be forwarded from the province into the children's hospital with no consequences as to any injuries that result from that. over a period of time, right? Because I swear, Amari started really losing weight after he got that seizure medication. But every doctor I speak to about it, blow it off like, I don't know what I'm talking about. So I need to do more research on seizure medications affecting, I guess, bone density and other body weight issues. Yep. Yep. Not that it will get me anywhere, because you could show it to them in black and white, and they still wouldn't care. They still wouldn't listen to you. They'd still say, no, you're doing something wrong. Right? So what was it? I just want to give it a quick Google here. Here we go. Easy Orb. Let's just Google Easy Orb and see what that is. Okay? So I went to the eye doctor and he just prescribed an anti-inflammatory. Told me to use water drops 2 times a day. Right? And basically just said that we need to do this eye as the spare wheel if and when this one should ever go completely dark. I still might be able to see a little shadow of daylight in this one to keep me from not being completely in the dark and going loopity-loop. Alright? So, okay, Easy Ford Electric Repair. Easy Orb Calcium Review. Does it really work? And is it worth? Okay, so clearly we were reading something there that was trying to promote a supplement that was more natural than oyster shells and rocks and coral and all that crap, right? Okay? But they also had very valid points, and points that I need to do more research on so that I know what I'm talking about. And when I'm cooking, you know, maybe I can cook around some of those issues. I don't know. Only so many hours in a day. Easy Orb Calcium is a dietary supplement that promotes the development of osteoblast cells, which convert calcium to bone mass. So we know Amari is getting... Andre, turn down the volume, okay, please? We know Amari is getting enough calcium, but he's not getting the exercise to, you know, with the walking and the bending and the lifting and just everything that normal people do in a day to keep bones from, you know, to keep them regenerating because of the you know, the pressure of walking, you know, right? There's a name for it. Okay. So, but he's still moving and he's still, like, you know, right? Not on the right side, though. So that side is always going to be looking like this or whatever. Okay. According to the product's manufacturer, Easorb Calcium can help to improve bone density and reduce the risk of osteoporosis. Easorb Calcium may also help prevent or treat calcium insufficiency. Well, he doesn't have the insufficiency. An overview, okay? Bone health, this is the overview, okay? Bone health is critical for overall well-being as our bones provide structure, right? Protect vital organs and store minerals. Over time, bones can become weaker due to various factors such as aging, poor nutrition, hormonal changes. That's why I asked the neurologist, are you sure that some of this stuff isn't coming from damaged parts of the brain? He said that, I think it was the hippocampus, right? Okay. I have to get Chimay's books where when bodies die, what happens to the brain and the body. It's there. I have that information there. Okay? Hormonal changes and medical conditions like osteoporosis, calcium plays a key role in maintaining bone density and strength. But many people struggle with calcium deficiency, which can lead to brittle bones. So that's what they're trying to do, is prevent the brittle bones, and right? Okay, that's understandable. I don't want Amari to have brittle bones. I want Amari to have a long life. Right? You know what I'm saying? Okay, and an increased risk of fractures. Okay. And of course, with him being so skinny, I do worry about that, right? But he seems to be, I don't know, seems to be pretty flexible. Like he moves around. He does whatever he does, right? This is where supplements like Esorb calcium may come into play. Through effectiveness is still a subject of, though effective is still a subject of debate. Okay. It claims to support calcium levels and may assist in preventing or treating calcium insufficiency. That's not the problem with Amari, though. Now, is it? They said his calcium level was good. So what's the problem? The cerebral palsy, lack of exercise in terms of being mobile, like a normal body would be, right? Certain parts of the brain that create the right side to really have a, to whatever, okay? Okay. It might also be beneficial in managing osteoporosis, a condition that leads to fragile bones, especially in postmenopausal women. While it is marketed as a supplement that could help build and maintain bone density, resulting may vary, and it's unclear how effective it truly is for everyone. And of course, that's why hospitals and doctors that do this kind of stuff have their drugs of choice, right? You know, their procedures of choice. He wants to do the infusion through an IV into the bone directly with Amari laying there for an hour, and he wants to do that every 6 months, and then he's going to request another x-ray to see if it made a difference. And that's where the first lie comes in, because when they tried to sell me this and say, blah, 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 we want you, he's the perfect candidate, it's just a one-time test. It's a one-time test with the x-ray to see where he's at with the bone density that it has right now. But yet you're going to do an infusion, right, every 6 months, and then now you got him hooked into the system where the taxpayers are paying, like those x-rays for the hip surveillance program every 6 months, right? To monitor the results of whatever they're injecting in him. And then if the side effects come, and I come and I say, if I'm allowed to be in the picture, because they don't want me in the picture, because they want to do whatever they want to do with Amari, because, again, it's not their bodies being put through this crap, it's somebody else's body being put through this crap. And if they're not going to acknowledge that he was injured at the time of his birth, or anything else that they do wrong in the medical kidnappings of old people to steal their money, hooking up dead bodies to hospital beds to harvest them as they play buffunkery for the family for 9 days, and right? You know what I'm saying? If they can go as far as doing all that shit, don't be surprised if they don't find a way to follow through on more of that kind of crap on Amari when everything goes south. And if they can get me out of the picture successfully, right? Who's there to fight on his behalf? Nobody. And then he just becomes some lost statistic with mummified dead bones. I'm just saying.
He's fine, by the way.
Yeah, what are you doing? Changing him?
No, he's already been changed.
Okay, can you put on his ankle bracelets? If you want, just put on the right one because that left one has no tape on it, huh?
I'll put it on here in a minute.
Yeah. The left one I have to find a way to. You can't the strap came off. I don't know how to fix that just yet. It claims to supply calcium levels and may assist in preventing or treating calcium insufficiency. That's not the problem with the Mari. So what's the problem? Besides being not very mobile outside of what he's capable of doing. To which he doesn't break his bones.
Except for that one time.
Well, that was to do with the ankle bracelet when he hit his tibia.
Yeah.
And that's because it was hard plastic and he whacked it. And you know when you hit your tibia, it hurts.
Yeah, I've done that multiple times.
Yeah, and it will hurt for months and months and months.
Especially when you cut it.
Yeah. So that's right, but that was the only time. So, right? It might also be beneficial in maintaining osteoporosis, a condition that leads to fragile bones. I would be the candidate for that, but besides that point, especially in post-menopause women, while it is marketed as a supplement that could help build and maintain bone density, results may vary, and it's unclear how effective it truly is for everyone. For some, it might be a slow help to slow the progression of bone weakening, but it is not guaranteed to prevent osteoporosis entirely. Well, yeah, that makes sense. I don't think there's anything that could guarantee that for anybody at any point. Additionally, it may help prevent low calcium levels in the blood, hypoglycemia, a condition that can have serious consequences if left untreated. However, it's important to note that the supplement may not be effective for people with severe calcium deficiencies. That's not Amari. So this is where this doctor needs to explain himself. Unless I can just keep doing this until I can figure it out for myself. And then if and when I see this dude again, which I probably will, because I'm phoning, I'm asking him to call me, he ain't calling. So that is not a good sign, because clearly he's, I don't know. There's nothing for him to book a phone call and talk to me on the phone for 10, 15 minutes. Nothing, 20 minutes. Right? If he was a caring doctor, he would do that, don't you think? Or I'm just going to book an appointment as a follow-up, being that I've already got 2 appointments at the Children's Hospital, to go to that department again with my file folder to discuss this subject. And my remedies in regards to, well, okay, if the blood is good, the calcium is good, I've been feeding them this, and this, trying to maintain, because it's a regime. That's why I spent $100 on a freaking blender here. You know what I'm saying? And I do have a brand new food processor on my counter over there, which I'm slowly but surely digging out. And I got another food processor up there, and I'm like trying to not get mad because I don't have enough freaking counter space no matter what I do. But besides that point, I'm still up for the freaking challenge here, and I'm not giving up. And now I'm doing even more research on things. So they can't call me negligent, right? right? Naive, yeah, maybe, but not negligent. I'm not trying to be negligent here because now I'm looking like what kind of foods can I feed him to, besides calcium with foods. Clearly, calcium is not enough. So what makes their medication so special? Through that infusion, where the lie that they told me, it's a one-time shot with the bone density. Now, you're going to want to do your follow-ups. You're going to want to see if your medication is working. So it will probably be every 6 months to a year. They'll want it every 6 months. I'll be lucky if I can put it off once a year. Okay? You know what I'm saying? And there probably will be side effects around it. But of course, they're not going to admit to it. And anything that I approach them and say, well, this started after what you did, they won't acknowledge it. They'll blame me, right? And yeah, that's what happens when you have a disabled child in a freaking developed country that has a quote unquote free healthcare system. Yeah, if the healthcare system wasn't free, these doctors couldn't do what they do to the degree that they do it. Okay? And that's just a fact. However, it's important to note that the supplement may not be as effective for people with severe calcium deficiency. Is Easy Orb Calcium. Let's find out what exactly it is. It is a calcium supplement, but that's not the problem. Amari has enough calcium, at least in his blood. Because, right, when you read and you study and you research, you start to put the dots together, right? Okay, so you got the calcium in the blood, which prevents hypoglycemia, whatever that is. But for whatever reason, it's not as much as it should be in the bones, right? Are they giving him the infusion because he can't walk like everybody else and squat and bend over and kick? And, you know, is it because he can't lift things? And is that why they're doing the infusion? That's the equivalent of physical exercise? How does a medication become a quote-unquote physical exercise to replace the physical exercise? Right? Is it synthetic? Is it man-made? Is it made in a lab? Or is it derived from natural organic derivatives? Like, where does it come from? Or does it come from the cancer clinic, like the seizure medication? Right? Do you see where I'm going with this one? Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't care how long this video takes. This is important. I'll probably be talking about this for a while. Every article. I got another article. Let's read it. Oh yeah. It is a calcium supplement that may help support. Okay, so where are we? By providing essential calcium and promoting better bone density. It is often marketed as a product that might assist in preventing calcium deficiencies. Right, okay. Review. It is suggested that the supplement may help build and maintain. I want to know what it's made out of. Okay, that's what I want to know. What is, okay, I want to know what it is. According to their official website, Alexar Industries claims that it is designed to offer superior calcium absorption compared to traditional calcium supplements. This could potentially help individuals who are at risk of calcium. So this is all related to calcium deficiency. So did I miss something with my 10 little minute conversation with that doctor where, you know, if the blood comes out good, then, you know, we don't have to worry and rush into this. But the blood came out good, but for whatever reason, the doctor still wants to do the perfect candidate and da-da-dee-da, only because it's free right? Taxpayers pay for it, and he gets a pat on the back because he's doing his job, and it opens up the door for other procedures and more tests and more this and more that, right? Well, Amari may or may not get sicker, may or may not develop side effects, may or may not, who knows, right? You understand what I'm saying here? And then if the government, these workers want to take him out of the house and put him someplace else, he's going to get depressed. So they'll just blame it on that and not the procedures that they got that caregiver taking him to, right? They'll just say, oh, he's depressed, he misses his Nana and he misses Andre, but he can suck it up. He's just a little retarded boy anyway, so what difference does it make? Because that's basically how it is. Okay, he can't talk, he can't walk, he can't feed himself, can't change himself, but yet, right, they can do whatever they want with him, okay, basically, because he has no voice, and the one voice that he does have, they want to silence and shut me up, basically. Basically. And I'm the one that does the daily grind. Yeah. And made sure he had enough calcium, at least in his blood. But why is it not going into the bones? Because of the lack of exercise. That's what they'll say. He's not mobile enough. There's not that pressure, when you're walking, the pressure of walking. But what is it when he's using his left leg and he's pushing himself and he's humping it, going like this, and he's grabbing and he's pulling, right? Exercising his whole left body. All the time, every day, all day. Freaking, yeah, like, it's crazy, and he's strong, right? So, I don't know. Okay, so I don't know. It's some kind of supplement. Do we know the secret ingredients? Probably not. Ingredients, here we go. Calcium aspartate. Add something, gelatin, elemental calcium, and rice powder. Rice powder. Okay. I got rice. I got lots of rice. I got gelatins in the house, and I got pig gelatin collagen in my fridge right now that I need to get to. Only I'm afraid to use a stupid blender over here. Seriously. Okay. Does this work? Well, I don't think it's going to work in Amari's situation because, first of all, it's probably not even made for kids. I'm just doing research. I'm just trying to understand what I'm dealing with, right? I'm trying to understand the little picture and the big picture. And, I want to make the right decision without being hasty and gullible to the old okie dokie, considering where I'm at with anything, what I've been through in the past, seriously, that MRI was done in November of 2019, and for years and years and years and years, everybody was whispering, hush, hush, hush. Shimei did this, Shimei did that. It was all Shimei's fault. Amari was the way he was, even though that shit was black and white right there in the files. And when I went to the gastro department in July, was it July for the appointment? Or June or July? That woman, she just pulled it up out of nowhere and printed it out for me. As plain as day. And I was informed of it this year or so through the neurologist that was reading Amari's medical files and read the MRI. It was there, plain as day. But yet, Shimei was a smear campaign to cover up what happened to him. And it was done with malicious intent. It was done on purpose. Some people got off on it more than others. Birds of a feather flock together. And it was all to sell Pediasures. and drinks, and whatever those things are, that with all those, whatever they put in them, even though they create issues. And, right? It's wrong. It's wrong. Okay, so we read enough of that. So we know what the ingredients are. Rice powder. So I don't know. I don't know if rice is the secret. Maybe rice is the secret and we just don't know. Is it brown rice, white rice? I got black rice, right? I gotta go find my black rice. Murray, how about wild rice? There you go. I got lots of wild rice. Organic wild rice. Oh, that's it, Amari. You're going on a diet of wild rice. You're eating wild rice every freaking week now. One way or another. I don't care if it kills me. You watch and see. Next week I'll have a jar of fucking wild rice, and that's what I'm going to start. I'm going to start cooking wild rice. You want rice? I'm going to give you rice, because I don't cook with a lot of rice. We don't eat a lot of rice. We need to, because it's cheap and I got lots. But I'm definitely going to get on with the wild rice the wild rice freaking bandwagon. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so moving along with this video, right? So this is another spare motor. I have one downstairs. The other one is over there. It's going down, okay? Right? Remember I said I have more than one? So I don't think it's... I don't know what it is that's wrong with that. Outside of maybe the blade is wiggly or something here. This machine, I'm scared to use it. I don't want to use it. Oh. So, because that other one's just, I don't know. I only have, it seems, one of these. I should have two. I had three because I got three of these things, but one cracked. I don't know where the other one went to. It was probably downstairs, but it looks like maybe Marina and Marcane lost it, because the machine is there, the glass is there, but not that. Isn't that interesting? So I don't know. Either or. When I'm out and about, if I ever get out, because I don't get out a lot, I still have one. So I'm really happy with that. So this is still workable. I'm going to move this blade. See, this blade does not really move where you can hear it. So I'm thinking taking knives, trying to do whatever is not a good idea, because somehow I loosened the blade. Because it's not grinding. It just wasn't working. This one here doesn't move. Now, so, and then I think you're supposed to put the rubber on the outside, on the, right? But I can't read. I just can't read it. I just can't read it. Goes on the outside, I think. Oh my God. Andre, can you come here and try and read this for me? Hold on a minute. I need a magnifying glass. Okay, so it's all about bone density now. So I got two of these. Well, actually three. Three of these. So this is not the problem, okay? Because it didn't lose its shape. So the rubber ring goes there. I even tried to do breadcrumbs, and it just wasn't doing what it was supposed to do with that other. I don't think it's so much the motor as it is that thing is wiggly. Yeah. That's the only thing I can determine. So now I'm just down to one. So I have to be very careful. So now we're going to screw that on. What happened was, too, you know, because I don't have a lot of counter space. Andre, I'm talking. I don't have a lot of counter space. So when I'm doing stuff like this, and I have these out, right? You know, and I got other things out and stuff. Sometimes they go on the floor. And then, you know, things get moved around and I don't know. It might be a little off balance in this part on the other machine. I don't know. But I think this one, this is from the bathroom. I think this should work because I'm afraid to use that other one. Okay? And it's sitting nice in there. Where the other one I was kind of having a problem lining it up. So what we're going to do is we're just going to try and use this one to do that pork with the gelatin, which I'm going to bring out, and then we're going to skim off the fat, and then we're going to fill up the jars. So I will keep these as spare, but I don't have that black base. So when I go out and about, if I find another one of these like this machine in a thrift store, I will buy it for the part that I'm only down to one. Plus, for the motor. Definitely for the motor. Okay, so we got that. I'm very perplexed about just this whole situation with the bone density crop. Right? And I am concerned about the side effects. And I am concerned about multiple lifelong, quote-unquote, x-rays based on just the gist of where that rabbit hole is leading. Now, I did buy this for Amari, and I've got other similar products. Okay? I bought this a long time ago, really. It would still be good, pretty sure, because it's dry. Right? This is, I don't know, I can't really see. There's collagen in it. Okay. There's protein in it. I bought quite a few of these. They should be downstairs, unless my son ended up taking them and using them for himself. I don't know. When I bought it, Amari was a little young. And as I was doing my research and reading, and I bought other gelatins, and I also got chicken broth. This one is, I think, beef. This is a bone broth powder, and I think it's a beef derivative. And I never opened it yet, because when I was back in those, and I bought chicken bone broth, and I bought a couple of different gelatin bone broths, and then I was reading, and I just didn't feel comfortable. I maybe because it causes constipation or something. It was just things that I were reading. I don't know. I got scared, and I just felt he was a little young. But now that he's older, right? You know, and considering what we're going through, okay, not including what I do. Okay, so what is the ingredients in this? Storage. Store in cool, dry place. Do not use if this. Okay, it has never been opened. What's the ingredients? Non-GMO, grass-fed beef. Okay, I paid a lot of money for it, and I bought quite a few of them. And how do you use it? Usage. Guidelines. Andre, quiet! Andre! Shut up! This product can be whisked into water to make a ready to sip broth, bone broth. Into smoothies. See blending tips. Either or. Oh my lord. Let me just read it for a minute. Okay, so I read that. If you try and put it into warm water and cold water, it can clump, right? So you got, but they say blend it slowly with just like a you know, those handheld emulsifiers or whatever, because it can foam. It said 1 scoop to every, hold on, the cow's hot in the house and I'm in the kitchen, remember, you know what I mean. I'm just starting, okay. It said 1 scoop to every 2 cups of water, or you can put it in smoothies, yada yada. Okay, so we'll open up that in a minute. So in the meantime, that's that. You can see what's going on there. It looks like it has a fair amount of fat on it. Now that's not the fat that I wanted to give Amari. The fat that I wanted to give Amari, there's a difference, it's in there. And I already went through it with my fingers, so it's pretty finely chopped up, just with whatever, through that process. This one, you can fry with this one. If you don't want to leave it in your fridge, because you're not going to get to it right away, okay? You can, I find sometimes just taking it off by hand, you can freeze it, and you can fry with it. Right, let's see if we can just take it off by hand. Just come in from underneath it. I don't know. I don't know what's better. Okay, I will probably try and freeze some of this. I will definitely try and fry some potatoes up in it. Right? So, see, because you have to kind of... Sometimes, you know, it comes off really easy. Right? You know, you want to keep the gelatin as much as possible. You can see what's going on there, right? So, and of course, because I can't see, a little bit of this fat in Amari's food is okay, but that is clearly too much. You can see what's going on there, right? So let me just deal with this problem. Hold on. Okay, so there must be a technique to pureeing foods that I just haven't figured out yet. Also, too, it's better to slow cook this stuff in terms of getting the most nutritional value and preserving that nutrition through the slow cooking process. Again, this is through reading, okay? You know what I'm saying? So, I guess in that situation, I'm going to use my crock pot more for this kind of stuff, specifically. So instead of trying to fill it up just because I'm, you know, want to get on with it, I'm going to do it halfway, half and half, right? So you can see, oh, see now it's cold. So because it's cold, you know, it's, you can see what's going on here, right? So, I don't know if I should be warming this up or what. Right? So we've got a lot of different kinds of, we've got the skin, we've got the fat that's under the skin, which is different than that white fat that I took off, which is there, which I'm going to bag up into a few little bags, and I'm going to freeze them and then label, put them in another bag and label frying fat. And that's what I like to fry sometimes things in, right? It works, okay? Or you can put them in a jar and then throw them in the freezer. That's not rendered lard. And because it's got the broth in it, right? Little bits of broth and stuff, that would spoil if you had it in your fridge for any length of time. So, I don't know how to do this. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to do half. We're going to do, because maybe there's just a technique that to do this, because I love this machine, and I'm pretty sure it will work fine now. I think the problem was I blew out the blade, not the motor on the other component, as I made the blade, because, you know, things get stuck under it sometimes, right? And, you know, when you're doing stuff like this, you know, you just, shut up, but you can go away. I know you smell it. Okay, so we're going to do about half of the bowl, right? That's about half. Okay? And this is, he's going to get some today. But when we went shopping yesterday, we bought some, I never buy pre-cooked chicken, but I did. Whatever. And, so he's got chicken he can have later, too. Okay, so that, okay, so let's just do it like that. You know, just, oh, I see, if I had it my way, I'd just do it all. I want that 25-pound freaking blender. Besides that point. All right, and then this, you can see what's going on here, right? Look how nice that is. That's really, really nice. So we're going to just put half of that in there. Should probably have had it on the bottom, so I'll just move that out of the way. Okay. You know, a lot of times this stuff is kind of like a learning process, right? You know, you figure out little tricks along the way, right? Whether you break your utensils or not, your appliances or not. So better to have more liquid on the bottom, and of course, once things start moving, it's going to warm up, right? But there's that, which honestly I don't think I'm going to have enough liquid in there because I can already feel it, right? In terms of a puree, I can feel it. There's not enough. So in a situation like that, you'd either use water, or maybe this is the time to bring that on board. And again, I've got different types too, right? I just haven't used them because I got a little nervous because through my reading, you got to be careful with small children with those types of things, right? For whatever reason, I don't remember what the reason was. Maybe, you know, I was, you know, too much gum up the intestines or something, right? I don't know. So instead of well, honestly, I could boil some water. There you go. I'll measure out 2 cups of water. There you go. That's what I'll do. I'll measure out 2 cups of water, boil it, put in 1 full scoop of that beef broth. Right? Turn this around. Put in 1 full scoop of that beef broth. And just use it as I need it. And see what 2 cups gets me. I'll probably need at least 1 cup of liquid in there just to get that to the right consistency. I can see a half a cup to 1 cup. Maybe. Yeah, I think it would blend better if I warmed it up, but I don't want to warm it up. Right? I really don't. But if I boil the water, do the bone broth, stir it around, it will dissolve really easy because the water's boiled, and then let it cool and get down to lukewarm. Just let it cool for 5-10 minutes, whatever. And then use that to start doing what I need to do, and maybe do not so full, just half like I'm doing right now. It will work. And then I get to, it's so good. I can taste the rosemary in it. I had 2 gift certificates from Christmas time. It was only $120, but that was still nice, right? From the Christmas Bureau. When I come into contact with this stuff, my nose in the kitchen just starts to run. We went to Save-Ons anyway. I just bought whatever, right? It's our Christmas dinner in August. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, they had brisket there. Some beef on sale. Because they're only certain things I looked for. I bought some cheese, whatever. I said, let's go to the meat, right? and they had a brisket there, a chunk of brisket for $40, $10 off. Works out to about $8.99 a pound. So I'm just going to cut it in half after this is all said and done. And I'm going to cook it in the slow cooker, just like I cooked this. And instead of using rosemary, I'm going to use tarragon leaves. Tarragon leaves go really, really good with beef, if you didn't know that. And rosemary goes really, really good with pork. So nice. It's so good. You don't even know. Hey, I have to warn you, there's a fly flying around. But if you notice, there's one of those little fly things, right? Got a couple of them around. Over there for the fruit flies. I'm just saying. I'm sorry. I do a lot of cooking in the kitchen. Oh, what can I say? You know, I'm human. Okay, so I would think that everybody knows not to use hot water from a tap, right? Why? Why do you not use hot water from a tap, Andre? Well, because there's heavy metals in it, right, Nana? Yeah, right. That's why I caught you you're filling up to make me coffee, my pot with cold water that you just turned on and you didn't let it run through the tap to run out the hot water, because the hot water starts to accumulate within the piping system, and then we turn on the water and you have to let it run through first just to get to the cold water, right? So, does he listen to me? Sometimes. So anyway, just because you don't want the heavy metals coming in with the hot water, okay? Doesn't matter what your pipes are. It doesn't matter if it's copper pipes or these plastic things that they got nowadays. Always run, if you're going to use water, cooking, whatever, just use cold water and run it through your tap first, just to clear out heavy metals. Okay, so you don't want to be drinking or giving your family heavy metals through the pipes. That's just a side note. So there should be a little scooper thing in there. I don't see. Oh, here it is. I feel it with the knife. So let's get it out and see what we got, and then we're going to taste it. It's powdery. Well, we knew that, right? And I'm going to boil the water. And I'm going to put 2 scoops in. Oh no, sorry, 1 scoop to 2 cups water. So 1 scoop to 2 cups water. Now that I'm using this, I'm so hoping that it's downstairs where it's supposed to be. Because I bought several of these at one time. Like 4 or 5 of them. But I decided not to use it because I wasn't comfortable with it at that time. I didn't know how to use it. I really didn't know how to incorporate it into his meals, because in those days I wasn't doing this. I was with the, remember, Amari side dish with the dish, topping us of food up like this to make it, right? Make it so fine, right? And yeah, well, it's because in the end he really just needed it pureed, and in order to do it that way, you have to do these things. So now that I'm doing this makes sense. Plus, he's older, right? He's older. So, you know, it's going to work out really, really good. And, you know, I'm doing my part, people. Like, in terms of, okay, you want to talk about bone density. All right. Well, if he's, you know, like, I mean, that article that I read, like, it's saying that it's adding calcium to the diet so that it can be absorbed by the bones to prevent frailty, fragile bones, osteoporosis, fractures, whatever, right? And it's not maintaining the dead bone. It's feeding the new bone as it's developing, or at least trying to retain the live bone by supplementing with the calcium. So by upping the ante, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm upping the ante. We've got the good meat with the better fats, right? With high nutrients, whether it's pork, beef, lamb, chicken, turkey, I suppose fish with skin, with the bones being cooked for a long time in liquid to give the bone collagen, with the skin collagen, which we'll be talking about soon. Chicken feet, collagen. Okay, you know, you watch my videos, I've been up in my game. I've had this for years, and I'll be mad if I don't have them downstairs, because now I need them, because now I know how to use them, and I know why I'm using them, and I have no problem using them. And, you know, when I go to that next time I go for a follow-up, and they say, you see this? Like, right? Tell me how this is not going to help. Well, it won't help because he's not absorbing it. Well, how do you know that? By an x-ray? Right? And who's to say that what you're giving him is absorbing? Because what I'm reading, it's telling me that you're just preserving dead bone, and you're masking over the problem that might create a whole bunch of side effects, which gives you more reason to do more x-rays and more this and more. Which is not good. Right? So I guess it's just a level. Don't compact it. I would think it's just a level scoop. So we're just going to do a level scoop. We're going to boil the water. We're going to whisk it in gently, because it says do it gently, because you don't want it to foam. See, this might be a problem. Because if you blend too much, it gets foamy. And I don't know. And in theory, it all sounded good. But I don't know if it's going to work now, because it might get foamy in there. But we'll figure it out as I do this. Okay, so there's the 1 scoop. We're ready to go with the 1 scoop with 2 cups of water. We'll bring the water to a boil. We'll whisk it in gently. We'll let it cool down. I don't know what. Let's see what happens with the gelatin that's in here. I don't think it's enough gelatin, but we'll just turn this baby on. It's been a long time since I used this one. I don't know how to use it. Chop. Okay, great. How do you turn the bloody thing on? Like, seriously. I guess just push a button. Stir. Chop. I'm scared. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's making that same stupid noise. Blend.
Wait, what?
Oh my God. See, it needs more liquid. Great. This one's different. Puree. Yeah, see, it needs liquid. That's what it needs. It's pureeing foods is like an art. You have to know what you're doing to do it right without struggling with it. And I think you need the right kind of equipment too. Yeah. You can hear it. And I don't want to use a knife to make it go, because it gets sometimes stuck under the... So I either stick your hand in, take it up, stick your hand in there and move things around. And then you got a big-ass greasy hand, right? Take a knife, move it around, and then you end up breaking and loosening your blade, and then it doesn't want to work. So... Okay, let me just, give me a minute. Okay, so it has absolutely no flavor, but then it says no flavor. So don't be surprised. I'm stirring it. You can see it gets a little foamy. I suppose if you're really blending it up, it would do that. But I ended up taking I sipped it in a teaspoon, right? And I ended up getting a little chunk of something to which I'm not in the mood to be like poking around too much here, like in terms of after it's done, you know, you have to look for little bits and pieces of this and that and everything else. And it was quite chunky. So what I'm doing now is I strained it to remove those little chunky parts, so I don't have to dig around for them, because they're harder than the meat. They're gummy. But I probably didn't give it enough time to dissolve, because I can see it's dissolving in here. The more I stirred, the more it dissolved, because it's in warm water. See, it's a learning process, right? It's an art. It really is an art. Trying to do this stuff. Is that blurry? Is that just me? There, it cleared out. Okay, so now that that's done, there's a little lip on this, I think. No. Geez. Here's a little, okay, here's this. Okay, so this is just, okay. So, we want, I think, the liquid more on the bottom, and because it's a little warm, and I'm not going to touch the blade, okay, we're gonna make this work, guys. Okay, guys? We're gonna make this work. The fucking fly. Get away from me. You're gonna destroy my house. Go away. Okay, so we're gonna start with 2 cups, right? So we're gonna start with 1 first. And it's kind of warm. It's not hot. Like, it's hot, but it's not, you know what I mean. It's not cool. Because it's had a chance. So, I don't know. Things are now starting to move in there. That's what we want. So we're going to do 1 more. This is what I go through, people. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, just based on what I can't really see, but I honestly, that gelatin that's cold is going to warm up and it's going to release liquid. So why don't we put it on the puree one here. If I was using this stupid blender, for 4 more minutes, that's it. You're gonna start stinking and smelling, maybe smoking and shit. With this one, you can go for a while. So did you see how much it took of that? Just 125 mils. Okay? And being that I'm getting old, honestly, whatever's left, because I always thought, how could I get him to drink it? I don't think he'd drink it. I really don't. Well, it's kind of small in this one. I haven't used this one for a long time. I haven't used that one for a long, long time. And it is struggling, I can tell. Is there water? Sitting on water? I can smell it. But it's not hot. I'm wondering. I don't know. Normally they don't smell. But I got another one of these downstairs. Like I said, I worked them like dogs. Well, where's some dogs? Workhorses. Yeah. It's not leaking. No. It's probably because I haven't used it in quite a long time. That's probably what it is. I haven't used this one in years. It's been sitting around. Or maybe I blew it out. I don't know. So that's the way it's supposed to sound. It's because there's something in the blade, underneath the blade. I'm having problems with the blade. Oh my god. Stay screwed on. Okay. Okay. Alright, puree. We'll just puree. Moving nice though. I trust this one more than I trust that one. Look at that. That's exactly what we want. Okay, I almost feel like I gotta take my hand, but before I do that, I've been touching things. I want to wash it first, right? And just go down gently underneath the blade. Hold on a minute. Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to put it back on puree for a minute. It's still too gritty for him. And still has whatever, right? I can feel it. And a situation like this is dripping all over in here. I almost just kind of want to... He's still struggling. It's not supposed to sound like that. I don't know why I'm... Maybe it's the black thing that's the problem. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. You have to pick up the speeds on this stuff, right? To really just emulsify it. Oh my god. Liquefy. Or you pulse it. This is why I like this one. It's not smelling no more. Nope. I can feel it. Yeah, no, still there's little bits of this and bits of that meat and stuff because it's, you know, I went with the more fatty stuff. So maybe we'll just put it back on puree. Very tasty. Rosemary does the job. Dinner. Well, I could walk away from this. I wouldn't worry about it. Not like this one right here would have blown out by now. Yeah. Like I don't know what good it's for. I don't. That's on puree. I think I overworked this motor, but I got another one downstairs. You're gonna hear it. I'm gonna go wash my hands again. Okay, so now that I'm thinking about it, it's actually too runny. It's too runny. Do you see? Soupy. So, with that said, all I do is just add more. Why not? Including the gelatin from the meat itself. So if you had 15 pounds of this, wouldn't you want a blender that could hold 25 liters? I'm just saying, right? So now that it's all like that nice, I don't think it's going to overflow. I'm looking for the gelatin. Yeah, because I mixed it all up, right? But if I can get this all into one thing, that'd be great. And then that bone broth, well, all I have to do for myself at this point is just, I got some vegetable stock there, or beef stock, or whatever, a powder. I'll just mix it in and I'll drink it. And I put I put 125 ml into this already. There you go. That's his happy dance. Still having a problem with the blade though. I can hear it struggling. Yeah. Yes, is that your happy dance? Your happy dance? Yeah? Happy dance? Yeah? You hear that, eh? That's Mari's happy dance. I can probably get all this into one shot. I'm so hoping so. Because I'm almost near the end. Yeah. So he really didn't get very much of that bone broth because I don't need it. But with me adding this extra, I can tell the texture is thickening up a bit, which is good. Right? And if it created a little bit of foam, at this point it doesn't seem to be a problem. But yeah, I have to take my hand in there and I have to break up. See, yeah, this is a piece of the skin. I can feel it. But through enough blending, it's going to be okay. And then of course, before I fill up his jars, I'd go through it anyway, just in case something got missed. It's a long process, it really is, you know. But now that I'm like on a mission more than ever before, so yeah, we got all of that. So this is where you kind of want to weigh this stuff before you cook it. Yeah, there's definitely skin in there. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. You want to kind of weigh out the amount that you're cooking for the most part, so that you know, so that you can match the size of your blender. And in this case, I think it's about 2 liters. Okay, so it's almost 2 inches up to the top, so I'm a little concerned about it overflowing. It's stopping you from going. Oh my God. I'd never stick my hand in there. Oh, Jesus Christ. See, it gets heavy. I'm not sticking my hand in there. There we go. I take it off before I stick my hand in there. Oh my God. Gotta be a better way. Well, it's because I'm overfilling it, right? But I can tell the texture is going to be better. Right? Okay, come on, baby. Work for me. Work for me. pulse it on a liquefy. See, it's heavy. You can hear the motor. It doesn't like that. It doesn't like the weight. Yeah, I'm smelling the motor again. So we'll just let it rest for a minute. Doesn't like the weight. But in terms of consistency, it's better now. It's not as runny and it's filling out. But it still needs to be ground up a bit. So we're just going to let the motor rest for a bit. Alright. A whole lot better than that one, I tell you. And then I bought that. After I'm done all this, I'll plug in the camera, and then we'll take a boo at that one I just bought for this reason, right? So we'll do it again. I'm getting it all over the place. I don't know if Tisha would do that. Tisha wouldn't do this. I don't even know if Marina would. If they got a Murray. I doubt foster care people would do it. It's too much work. Do I look like Rudolph the white-nosed reindeer? Okay, for social workers to think that I like flies are stupidly crazy. Seriously. You know, because since they've been coming around, I've been in the kitchen. I've been canning things, cooking things, dehydrating beef jerky and $250 worth of beef. And, you know, you can see what I do, people. Andre, he went eventually to the dollar store and he bought a fly zapper. Got them flying around. They coming in for the food, man. You know, and they're coming in from outside. So, okay, so I grounded it up. Didn't take much longer. I'm glad I bought that Hamilton Beach, because at least I get a fresh start when I do this. This is where it's hard for me to gauge the rims, because it blends in together. It's a little more runny than I would like it, but then on the other hand, I'm happy with it, though, because it has that extra little bit of, I suppose, beef collagen in it, right? And I'm going to freeze this. Yeah, you see? Do you see what I did? Oh my God. That's the part I can't see. Going down the side here. Anyway, that's all right. You gotta leave a little bit of a headspace. Well, it actually can take more than that. This would be enough for 2 or 3 meals within a day and a half, or a day, right? Because it's kind of runny. You can see it's kind of runny, eh? But that's because I added that extra 125 mils of collagen, which I'm perfectly happy with, believe it or not. And then, you know what this would pair well with? Because you got the collagen. You got the collagen from the pork, right? From the skin, the tendons, the marrow, right? Obviously the bone, a little bit, right? And then you've got the extra collagen coming in from the beef, and it was only a half a cup. 125 mils is about a half cup, right? Okay, and you know we're gonna. Okay, these jars are 250 mils. So right. Okay, so what I would, if I had a freezer, right? Like for this specific kind of stuff. So yeah, there you go. I did it again. So leave a little bit of a headspace so when it freezes, because it's so runny, it's going to rise a bit, so that you can eventually put the lid down properly without it, because it will go like that, right? And whatever you do, when you put your lid on and put it in the freezer, make sure the lid is loose. So if for some reason it goes over the rim because of the, it'll have a hump on it, right? What do you call it? It will, it won't crack the jar. Now you gotta be careful when you take jars out of the freezer too. You gotta, you know, you don't put them, you know, you gotta let them, normally they don't crack, but you know, they're sensitive. So just put them in the fridge and let them defrost slowly. You know, see that another fly is back. Like, where the hell are these flies coming from? Outside. That's where they're coming from. Or they're coming from the freaking mice and shit. Yeah. Okay, so I wanna leave a little bit of this for Amari, so I can fill up one more jar, I think. Because he's also got chicken, because I bought chicken. Now, I already went and ran my fingers through it as I was pouring this into the bowl here. So, it's pretty good. I only found one large chunk about the size of my baby pinky nail, which could potentially be a problem for Amari. Well, it would be. It's not potentially. It would have been a problem. So, regardless, you have to check it. You can't assume. And then there was a few just tiny little pieces. I took them out just for the sake of taking them out. That should be fine. But what I'd like to pair with this, okay, because now that we're working on quote-unquote bone density, I'm just going to fill up one more. I got beef brisket I'm going to cook up, so, and Andre and I, we got to get out in the yard, and we got to work in the basement. These are, I'm making this stuff for those days, right, you know, and it's so good, so good. And now that I'm thinking about bone density, we know we got the calcium base covered, right? But, you know, we're just not getting through the, you know, finish line. So I'm thinking like this is my thought. So yeah, whatever's left here he can eat later. And it's not very much. Alright, so there. What I'm trying to say is carrots or sweet potato or both. Just using that as a base, as an example. Right? Obviously cooked and pureed with butter and whipping cream and milk. Andre will use the whipping cream and then he dilutes it a little bit with water, because whipping cream can get very thick. But we go through almost a liter of whipping cream a week with Amari, and he gets a fair amount of yogurt. So that's probably one reason why he's okay with calcium, right? But he's still missing out on something. So if we focus more on what I'm doing here with the added collagen, okay, whether it's bought through a product like this or a similar product, because there's different types, right? Or through the stewing of the simmering of meats with bones and cartilages, and you know, you gotta have the bones, right? And meat and whatever to make what I had with the pork, okay? This one has a little bit of both. But it doesn't have calcium per se, as like the whipping cream does, right? So, in that situation, because this is runny, I could cook up carrots, I could, but I don't have the room for it right now. With some sweet potato, grind it up with the, obviously butter, right, after the fact, and then use whipping cream as the main liquid to puree, right? Okay. And if need be, well, this is what I'm thinking here too, okay? Now that I'm using this product, and I have some left over, I'm going to do chicken. I got chicken in the fridge, and I've got nothing to grind it up with. I've got absolutely nothing to grind it up with outside of maybe some whipping cream or water. But look what I got now. So instead of using water, why not use this? For those times when you just need that little extra liquid. It's not going to hurt them. So I'm going to, when I do the chicken, I'm going to use the little blender, and I'm going to use this instead of whipping cream, which I wouldn't want to use whipping cream with the chicken. Andre will put chicken together with red pepper and I don't know, whatever else, and he'll blend it all up and he'll use whipping cream, but then he also uses water, where this is what we should be thinking about. So we learned something there, right? So for this though, it would go well with carrots and sweet potato or yam, with lots of butter, mixed in with some whipping cream. Whether you used a bit of milk to dilute it or a little bit of water to dilute it, just to get it to that right consistency, which would be thicker than what this is. That's what I'm trying to say. And then you put this, you warm this up, you know, right? You eventually, so you have 2 jars. You have 1 jar of carrots with sweet potato, pureed with butter and whipping cream, basically. That would be a little more thicker than this because this is a little runny, right? So that when you combine the 2 of them together into a frying pan to warm it up, right? You can actually mix them all up together and give it to him that way. Or you could have 2 separate little pots and you could do it that way. And then, you know, pour that over top and, you know, so that, you know, he gets a good bite of carrot and sweet potato and whatever. But this here would be good for at least 2 meals, right? Within a day and a half. Or 2 meals within 1 day, right? Because normally when I do stuff like this, I put them in those square things, and he'll eat them almost with every meal, what's in those square things. And if it's ground up meat and all that, right, I'll give it to him 2 or 3 times within the day, depending on what it is, right? And he gobbles it up. So, I'm glad I did this. I just have to get the technique down better. So I'm thinking, but before I'm thinking about something else, I want to finish about, okay, so through the carrots and the sweet potato with the whipping cream and the butter, he's still getting the calcium, okay? And a little bit of the vitamin D. But for whatever reason, the vitamin D isn't showing up, quote unquote, in his blood. Okay. We don't spend a lot of time outside with him because, you know, I spend a lot of time doing this, dishes, whatever, cleaning, sorting out crap. And yeah, so, you know, but we're going to be going outside. So whether that makes a difference or not, I don't know. You know, those people at the hospital, they say going outside doesn't make a difference when it comes to vitamin D. I thought that's not true. But I say, are you sure about that? They say, yeah, it doesn't matter how much sun you get. It's not going to make a difference. You need the vitamin drops. Take the vitamin. Give him the vitamin drops. Okay, because clearly he's not getting enough of it in his food. All right, so I don't know. I don't know the logistics around that. Yeah, so this has to be paired with something that has calcium in it, which would be the whipping cream, the butter. You can, on the side, have yogurt, whatever, right? Because, you know, we don't want him losing out on the calcium. But then on the other hand, this is feeding his bones other minerals. I guess I have to get a little more sophisticated with figuring out exactly what they all are and understand what they do in terms of phosphorus and all that stuff. And like, you know, you gotta be a genius around this stuff. You go to school for 10 years. Yeah, something, because it's not easy trying to figure it out, that's for sure. But, okay, so we got five of them. And a little bit for him to eat today.
Mark Henry asked me a question. He's wondering how we're doing with the heat.
Heat?
Yeah. Here. Like how hot it is.
Well, we're managing. We're going to put on the fan if you need the fan.
Yeah, he's just asking. He texted me saying, how are you guys doing with the heat?
Well, okay, we suffer through it every year. How are you doing with it? There's the fan.
Well, what should I tell him?
We're fine.
Okay.
Does Amari look like he's suffering?
No.
Do you need the fan on?
No. Mark was just wondering how we're doing.
Oh yeah. No, we're okay. We're gonna be working outside anyway soon. I'm just doing this for that. Okay. So now here, I got this. Let's see how much he's gonna here. I got stupid flies flying around. As fast as I clear this off, you just you know what? If I get rid of this counter, I'm not going to be able to do this because I won't have enough counter space. I just won't. So, you know, like, that's just, I don't know. Okay, so now I'm going to put the lids on so that we don't get the flies flying in there because they're out with a vengeance right now. Yeah. And, excuse me for cooking. I'm bringing blood into the house when it comes to meat and all that. I'm going to be bringing out some beef brisket here in a minute and some steak from Australia that I got on sale. Because Andre, you know, like I said, I went and we did our little Christmas hamper in August, and I bought 2 big blocks of cheese just because I got the old cheese that I need to dehydrate, but I went and got some fresh cheese anyway. And he asked for it, so I bought it. And then we went to the meat section, and of course I'm looking for things on sale. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so, yeah, you just want them finger tight. You don't want this, because if it comes and it start pushing, you know, it will, right? won't crack your jar. Otherwise, it will crack your jar. So for now, I can screw them on a little tighter before I go downstairs. And then when I go downstairs and I'm ready to put them in the fridge, or freezer, I should say, I just, oh yeah, and then I'm going to label it. I'm labeling it. And then what I'm going to do is, as I use the jars, wash the lids. It'll still be written on there. And then I'm just going to throw them all into one container with a lid on to keep them clean because of the grit and everything in the house. And I'll make it again, something similar. So I don't have to keep rewriting on the lids what it is. Like get the staples going, right? And get a system going where see, I'm looking now. I have a little spatula here. Andre likes to use the little spatula. I'm always washing it, but when I need it, it's not here. I don't. It's not in the mood to get my hands all grimy again. But then I want every last little morsel too. So maybe I need some more little spatulas. Yeah. Maybe. Here's a spatula. It's a bigger one. This will do. So it's very good. It will go really good with carrots and sweet potato, or just potato with whipping cream, sweet potato by itself with whipping cream. You could do peas with whipping cream, anything really with whipping cream. You know that, right? And then this way you're still giving him that calcium, with butter, right? So this, you're enriching the food. And what this here is just enough for one meal to mix in with whatever. So technically, I don't even have to grind the chicken for him tonight. No. What I need to do is just boil some sweet potato or a carrot or a potato with some carrots. And then I can either use the collagen again to grind it up after the fact, because it's already pre-mixed. Or, well, no, I want the calcium. So I would use whipping cream. Yeah. And I don't dilute with water. Andre does. I would dilute if I needed to with milk. But I have to be honest. I've cheated. I've used water as well. So you can see that's hardly anything, to be honest with you. Right? So throwing in some chicken, grinding up chicken and just topping it off where it's at the halfway mark would be enough for one meal with the potato and carrot or whatever I'm going to cook here, because I have to, right? Okay, so there's that. So now I've done that. So I'm going to wash everything up, because that's what happens. You get a lot of dishes doing this stuff. So the more you can do it at one time, the better off it is in the long run. Right? You could pair that with oatmeal or whatever, right? Yeah. So now let me clean up, and then we'll, I guess, maybe open up that box, that Hamilton Beach blender, and I think it's a food processor as well. And it does something. There's 3 things that it does. I don't know. And I'm going to eventually just experiment with it. Right? Whoa, almost dropped the camera. And then I'll top that off with some chicken. Right? Okay, so I'm still going. And it is... Look at the time, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock p.m. Okay, that's our August Christmas voucher from the Christmas Bureau. He gave me $120 at Christmas time for Christmas dinner. That never happened. So, because I wanted to use up those vouchers, I said, Andre, you know, go to the eye appointment and then we'll just run off to the mall there. That's where I bought the blender. Walmart, believe it or not. They asked me if I wanted to sign up for a credit card. I said, oh God, no. 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 Those days are done. No. Whatever. So, with that said, I ended up going to Save On Foods because that's what it was for, Save On Foods. And yeah, like I said, I bought the meat because it was on sale. And it's always so expensive, so some extra cheese, but I got cheese downstairs that needs to be dehydrated, so I really should get up on that. And I went through the things that I just did for Amari, and I have a fair amount now. I have enough to, between the turkey and now the pork, in terms of already pureed and ready to go, it will be easier for me to work outside or work downstairs and not have to worry about at least pureeing that. If I had more freezer space, I'd cook up sweet potatoes, carrot with whipping cream, a little bit of onions. That'd be so good. Puree it up. Oh yeah, I would. And I'd freeze those too, but I don't have any more freezer space, so. And I bought Andre a backpack, some boots. They're okay to maybe wear outside.
You want me to get the boots and backpack to show?
Oh, if you want to show people, sure, you go. He was so excited. He didn't expect to get some t-shirts. He got a bike pump. He got a light. But then something on his bike broke, so now he has to get that fixed. But he didn't expect to. He didn't go with me and expect to get anything. But he got quite a bit of stuff, actually. Almost got a watch, but we're going to shop around for a watch. So he really likes this little backpack. He likes that one. Yeah. He almost tried to hit me up for a second one. But you never know.
You're the one that was kind of like...
Oh, I was the one that was scoping it out, was I? Yeah. Okay, well, we're still going to go to the thrift store. You know, he'll get a few more t-shirts there and maybe a better pair of boots for outside. Just for, like, working outside, where those other ones you can use for maybe just going to the movies or something. Either or. He was excited. And I never do that for him, so. Very seldom do I just randomly say, okay, well, what do you think about that? Well, what do you think about that? Well, okay, well, you want that? Go ahead. So much for my deep freeze. I ain't getting that now. Not now. So, but that's okay. So I bought this brisket. It was regular $40, 17 something per pound, per kilo, which is probably what we'll just say $18 a kilo. A kilo, right? Okay, kg, kilograms, whatever. Okay, so 18, so $9 a pound, $10 off, which was only costed me $30. Now the thing about brisket is it's really fatty, but that's where a lot of your nutrients are. Okay? And obviously calories, but nutrients come in when that fat, I'm telling you. And there's different types of fat on it too. Right? You have three choices. You can either render it, put it in a jar and freeze it, or I take the majority of it off the brisket, and then I've canned. I have brisket canned in my room. I've already got tallow in jars, some in freezers, some I canned. This, I took the majority of the fat, which is almost, it appears to be a little more than half of what I paid for. So basically I paid $15 for fat. And yeah, otherwise it would have been $20 for fat and $20 for meat. But there's a lot of nutritional value in brisket, believe it or not. And so you can either render it, put it in jars and freeze it, or you can render it, put it in jars and can it. Just water bath it, right? Seal it. Or pressure can it for a little while anyway.